This is Newswatch.
The Athens City School District is weighing its options on where to build new schools around town. Good evening, I'm Lily Bradley. Thanks for joining us. WOUB reporter Jacob Solleather is live at the Ridges. Jacob, one of the school construction sites might be at the Ridges. What can you tell us?
The Athens City School Board of Education is weighing its options on whether to build a new school here on the property at the Ridges. That's if Ohio University can come through with at least 20 acres of land. As of now, the university is offering 8 acres, and the school board doesn't believe that's enough, so the board is considering on the district's existing schools. Vice President Kim Goldberry is in favor of rebuilding on the school district's current locations.
I feel like that with the compromise plan, we will be able to have a better balance with our socioeconomic diversity. We'll have a better balance with the preschool to third grade because we could split the district up evenly. And then the children will get together at fourth grade.
At last night's meeting, the board members had several questions for Gibbs to take to the university. Most notably, the board wanted a more definitive number of acres of land that would be offered to the school. Christian Garrett wondered if cost sharing was a possible solution. As negotiations continue between the district and the university, the school board is hoping that decisions will be made sooner rather than later. I'm Jacob Solleather reporting for Newswatch.
Athens County Charter Committee is regrouping after defeat in the Ohio Supreme Court on Thursday. The charter sought to prevent disposal of fracking waste in Athens County. The Athens Messenger reports the court ruled it will not order the Athens County Board of Elections to put the proposed charter on the November ballot. The committee also has a case pending in the 4th District Court of Appeals that seeks to overturn a ruling that upheld the county's election board's decision against the charter. The Athens Police Department is still investigating yesterday's Citizens Bank robbery. The bank was back to business and open today, but there is no new information about the suspect or his whereabouts. The suspect was seen at the scene of the crime wearing a mask, hat, sunglasses, and was carrying a zipper bank bag. They say he is possibly a white male of medium build who is 5'6". APD asks anyone with new information regarding the robbery to call the department at 740-592-3315. A former coffee cup restaurant property will likely proceed to a sheriff's sale. This after Athens County officials filed a complaint on Tuesday. According to the Athens Messenger, the complaint doesn't mention a foreclosure deadline, but does ask that the sheriff sell the property and ensure the treasurer be paid the amount of overdue taxes. Those taxes amount to more than $16,000, which is expected to be the starting bid. Owners of the restaurant, which burnt down in 2011, say they have no intention of redeveloping the property.
Well, good evening and happy Friday, everybody, and more importantly, happy first day of fall, although it doesn't seem like it is that way right now because temperatures still in the 80s. Right now, current temperature here in Athens is 84 degrees with that sunshine around the area, and those winds really light out of the north and east at about 3 miles per hour. You can see that dew point around 62 degrees and the humidity kind of dry at 48%, and everywhere else across the region is still fairly warm. In fact, look at Columbus, 85 degrees right now up there, Newark 83, Marietta 82, and down in Jackson and Chillicothe both at 83 degrees each with this warm evening coming up. And it's fall, so perfect time for fall is football, and high school football forecast this evening, 77 degrees for kickoff around clearing skies, and those winds will be fairly calm, so any kind of kickoffs or field goals should be made pretty easily for that, as those winds are fairly light out of the north and east. And for the next couple of hours, temperatures should be falling down into the mid to upper 70s as those skies begin to clear out tonight.
Unemployment rates are on the rise in Kentucky. Officials say 85 of the state's 120 counties saw an increase in job rates from 2016 to 2017. The Kentucky Center for Education and Workforce Statistics says Carter County had the 4th highest unemployment rate at 10.5%. Some area farmers are starting to worry about potential tariffs on Mexican imports. The Trump administration plans to renegotiate NAFTA, or the North American Free Trade Agreement. Mexico is a large consumer of the United States agricultural goods. Now, if a tariff is imposed on those goods, the effects could be widespread. Jimmy Tosh, owner of Tosh Farms, says he's worried.
Well, let's hope it's smoke and mirrors, but it is very concerning.
National Pork Producers Council says a change to the current policies could potentially affect 17,000 jobs in the pork industry. Now, a date has been set for the execution of an Ohio death row inmate. The execution of Percy Hutton, found guilty of murder back in 1985 after an altercation over a sewing machine, is set for 2022. Hutton still has federal appeals pending, and his attorney argues the execution date should not be scheduled until those appeals have ended. A former Columbus police officer says his 2015 firing was the result of racial discrimination. A federal lawsuit says that African-American officer Kevin Morgan was treated unfairly compared to fellow white officers. Morgan was accused of improperly reporting special duty hours. Now, according to Morgan, white officers who faced similar allegations were suspended while he was fired. Morgan is seeking reinstatement, more than $25,000 in damages, and admission to discrimination from the city. An algae outbreak in Toledo has health officials urging people not to swim in the Maumee River. The river has turned unusual shades of green in the past few days. Officials are saying the algae is not affecting the city's drinking water. Researchers think that the algae bloom is linked to a larger algae presence in Lake Erie, along with slow currents and high levels of phosphorus in the Maumee. 6 people are dead as a result of Hurricane Maria, and Puerto Rico is still trying to deal with the destruction. And the United States is imposing sanctions on people doing business with North Korea. How difficult enforcing those sanctions might be. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
Hey everybody, I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous. Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
My professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything. Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
Hurricane Maria is continuing its trek through the Caribbean, hitting the islands of Turks and Caicos today. Meanwhile, Puerto Rico is still reeling since Maria made landfall on the island and killed 6 people Wednesday. The U.S. territory is without power and may not get it back for several months. FEMA Administrator Brock Long says that today has been a crucial day for search and rescue efforts.
So today is all about life-saving, establishing emergency power for the infrastructure such as hospitals. We're also going to be doing some life flights, not only out of Puerto Rico and the Virgin, but also the Virgin Islands out of St. Croix to, help people where hospitals have been damaged to move them to the continental United States.
President Trump approved a disaster declaration for Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria hit, making some federal recovery funding available. The earthquake in Mexico has caused massive amounts of despair and destruction. Now, workers are racing against time to help anyone who is still trapped in the rubble. Omar Jimenez reports.
Race against time in Mexico City as rescue workers press on with the search for survivors.
The chill at night, if they're laying on concrete, that takes the heat right out of your body, and it's going to be less survivable.
It's been 3 days since the 7.1 magnitude earthquake rocked central Mexico, killing hundreds and turning building after building into rubble.
We felt like we were going to die. The entire house shook. Everything fell. Lamps broke. We went out onto the street. People were crying and running.
Search and rescue efforts have been bolstered by an army of volunteers, forming human chains to pass along supplies and clear debris. Rescue workers press on, even though the chances of survival diminish as time passes.
Some people may be trapped in an area that they have food and they have water, and then their survivability rate definitely goes up.
The scale of the damage outside Mexico City is only now becoming clear, but assistance has been slower to arrive in those hard-hit towns close to the epicenter of the quake. But throughout the tragedy, the resilience of the people remains on display.
The spirit of the Mexicans always unites us, always lifts us. The resilience in Mexico is a characteristic we always hold on to. We always get back on our feet.
Rescue efforts are now in full swing, but there is still a long way to go until the area fully heals. Many people are still without power, and some schools in the region are closed indefinitely. The Trump administration is set to replace the country's existing travel ban for country-by-country restrictions in Muslim-majority nations. While the original ban, which targeted 6 countries, is set to expire on Sunday, it is not yet clear which countries will be included in the new ban. The Trump administration says the ban is critical for national security in wake of recent terror attacks. A new study reveals fewer pregnancies and a higher number of fetal deaths in Flint, Michigan over the past 3.5 years. The number started changing in April 2014. That's when Flint switched from water provided by Detroit to water from the Flint River without adding the necessary anti-corrosives. As a result, lead levels in the city's drinking water spiked. The study was done by professors from Kansas University and West Virginia University, but has not been peer-reviewed just yet. Facebook has agreed to release over 3,000 Russian-bought ads to Congress. It's part of the U.S. government's efforts to investigate Russian interference into the 2016 presidential election. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg released a statement yesterday afternoon vowing to improve the company's efforts to weed out foreign government attempts to interfere with American elections. The United States is upping its pressure on North Korea by imposing new sanctions on anyone who does business with the country. Brian Todd has this report.
The regime that compared Donald Trump's threats to a barking dog may soon feel his bite. In an effort to put the squeeze on Kim Jong-un, the president unleashed new tools for the U.S. to block North Korea's finances, hoping to get the aggressive young leader to stop building his nuclear and missile programs.
It is unacceptable that others financially support this criminal rogue regime.
The president is going after those others by giving the Treasury Department more authority to sanction banks, companies, and individuals doing business with North Korea.
Potentially, we could see some heavy-hitting sanctions on foreign companies coming in the very near future.
But completely cutting off Kim's cash stream for his weapons will be very difficult. Analysts say the dictator and his cronies are creative and deceptive in getting around sanctions.
One of the ways they skirt sanctions is by setting up front companies.
Just one example of those alleged front companies, CNN has learned, is called Glowcom. UN investigators say the company, which sells military gear like this seized communications equipment, is listed as being based in Malaysia. But the UN says it's really linked to North Korea's spy agency. Analysts say a company like Glowcom is hard to catch because it acts like a chameleon.
If it's operating in Vietnam, it will try to look Vietnamese. If it's operating in Malaysia, it will try to look Malaysian.
Another alleged deception from Pyongyang and its partners, shady shipping. The Treasury Department last week said it believes some ships, like this one it tracked from China, turn off their transponders when they pass North Korea to hide the fact that they divert there to pick up coal purchased from Kim's regime. North Korea also sells weapons overseas illegally, like this intercepted shipment including 30,000 North Korean rocket-propelled grenades hidden under a load of iron ore. And experts say Kim's regime partners with criminal networks in China and even in the U.S. to smuggle counterfeit goods.
It's been known to counterfeit pharmaceuticals and cigarettes and even engage in the trade of illegal wildlife products.
Analysts say the money Kim makes each year from illicit businesses that skirt sanctions is staggering.
If you combine arms, counterfeiting, drug trafficking, and so on, you're in a figure that's over $1 billion. And in a country that only exports about $3 billion a year, that's a very substantial source of revenue.
President Trump's sanctions were announced as he met with leaders from South Korea and Japan who face more immediate threat from North Korea. Trump followed up the announcement with a tweet early Friday morning claiming Kim Jong-un as a madman. On Wall Street today, markets fell as a result of those rising tensions with North Korea. Take a look. Summertime could get more fun at Lake Snowdon. That story still ahead.
And it's been fall for about 3 hours now, but it still feels like summertime. Found out how long it's going to last, and there's more details coming up here on Newswatch.
Professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open. You can go to them with pretty much anything. Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
Ohio University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
Hey everybody, I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night, live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory. Well, good evening. I'm forecast Ethan Emery, and it's been a pretty warm day for the first day of fall. You can see temperatures right now still in the mid to upper 80s in some places, but mainly just lower 80s for most of us down here in southeastern Ohio. You see 84 right now here in Athens. You see 82 in Ripley, and over in Columbus, 85 degrees. And today's high actually here in Athens reached 88 degrees, and in fact, 89 was what some of you thought across much of the Hocking River and Ohio River Valley areas. And That's well above the normal average time of year. In fact, almost 15 degrees above average, and knocking on the door towards that record. 94 degrees set back in 1931. And those lows, a little mild, but near average time of year. So all in all, not that bad. And if you're having any kind of allergies, we'll blame the pollen because it's been fairly dry for all of us here across the region. And you see that pollen level is medium. So for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you have the sniffles, we'll blame the pollen for that one. And mainly we're just going to see some clear skies overnight tonight for the forecast. Patchy fog late, and yes, we're going to be approaching 90 degrees by tomorrow even. And for overnight tonight, temperatures lows, well, by 8 o'clock this evening, 76 degrees with some partly cloudy skies as those clouds begin to taper off. And then midnight, 69 degrees with clear skies. And then 4 a.m., especially like later on after 4 a.m., fog could develop in some areas, especially near river valleys or low-lying areas. And so if you're driving tomorrow morning, be on the lookout for that. And overnight lows tonight, we're seeing temperatures down into the lower 60s and even upper 50s a couple places. So 64 in Columbus, 60 degrees here in Athens, 59 over in Cambridge, and down at Ripley by the river, 62 degrees. And temperatures here in Athens, like I said, 60 degrees with that patchy fog coming in late with those winds light out of the north and east, about 0 to 5 miles per hour. And the whole setup here is this big old ridge of high pressure setting across the Midwest. And you can see the same thing comes in for tomorrow. And you can said, because that ridge of warm air pulling its way up from the Gulf, we're going to have nice warm temperatures in the upper 80s. And so for tomorrow morning, if you're wanting to go out and about for a morning run, 61 degrees for that as that fog lifts early in the morning, but sunny skies will be coming in later in the day. See those temperatures around noon, 80 degrees and 87 degrees by the afternoon. And highs, like I said, almost 90 degrees. And in fact, look at Columbus and Chillicothe and Jackson, over 90 degrees. So it's going to be fairly warm tomorrow. So make sure you do drink plenty of water when you're outside because, like I said, 89 degrees, it's pretty warm for this time of year. In fact, almost 15 degrees above the normal. And if you're curious about fall, we're going to see some patchy areas of those orange leaves. And so by next week, we'll probably see a peak of fall foliage. So if you look out for some of those nice pictures, next week should be good for that. So next weekend, or this weekend coming up, temperatures in the upper 80s to near 90. And then next week, a cool down coming in by Wednesday and Thursday.
Hocking College is pursuing plans to build a water park at Lake Snowden. The park's projected opening date is Memorial Day 2018. The project is still in the planning stages, but a beach area is being developed. No sketches are available just yet. The college hasn't released an anticipated cost. There will be likely an entrance fee, though. It is unknown what the park would include besides inflatables, but the college hopes the park will provide a fun pastime for students. Mitchell, lots of games happening this weekend. What do you have on deck for us tonight in sports?
Yeah, good evening. I'm Mitchell Lyons, and something happened to the Cleveland Browns for the first time since 2015. And the Cleveland Indians swept another team. We have the recap of the game next on Newswatch. And stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
Everybody, I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night, live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
Ohio University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
My professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything.
Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous. Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, this is it. And she said, the tour's just started. I said, no, you don't understand. This is it.
Welcome back, I'm Mitchell Lyons. Major League Baseball's hottest team continues their winning ways. The Cleveland Indians are headed to Seattle after their sweep of the Los Angeles Angels yesterday. In the fifth inning, shortstop Francisco Lindor sent one to dead center for a 3-run homer, making the score 4-1. That score remained for the rest of the game. But the play of the night came from third baseman Giovanni Urshela. As you're seeing here, Urshela went to his right, throws across the diamond to Carlos Santana for the final out of the game. The victory gave the Tribe their 27th win in the last 28 games. Tonight, Trevor Bauer is going for win number 17 on the season, while Erasmo Ramirez is looking to get to 500 for Seattle. Tonight's first pitch is set for 10:10. And the Cincinnati Reds are not having the season their Ohio counterparts are having. The St. Louis Cardinals completed a 3-game sweep of the Reds last night with an 8-5 victory. Dexter Fowler continued his hot series for St. Louis, going 3 of 5, scoring 2 runs and driving in a pair. The Reds continue their homestand tonight against the Boston Red Sox. Sal Romero goes for Cincinnati and Rick Porcello pitches for Boston. First pitch is in about 15 minutes. On to football, where the Ohio Bobcats will begin Mid-American Conference play tomorrow afternoon when they head up to Ypsilanti, Michigan to take on the Eastern Michigan Eagles. The Eagles come into the matchup 2-0 and off a bye. Ohio is coming off a 12-point victory over the Kansas Jayhawks. Nathan Rourke will get the start for Ohio, and he's facing a very strong Eagles defense. The Eagles allow just 10 points a game and just over 300 yards per game. When these two teams met last year, the Eagles defeated the Bobcats 27-20. Kickoff is set for 2 o'clock. For the first time since Week 14 of the 2015 season, the Cleveland Browns are favored heading into a game. The Westgate Las Vegas Superbook has made the Browns a 2.5-point favorite on Sunday's game against the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts will once again be without superstar quarterback Andrew Luck, so it will once again be former Patriot Jacoby Brissett under center. Browns rookie quarterback Deshaun Kaiser missed part of last week's game with a migraine, but was not listed on the injury report this week. Kickoff is set for 1:05 on Sunday. From one 0-2 Ohio team to the other, the Cincinnati Bengals are on the road Sunday against Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. The Bengals head to LAMBEAU Field Sunday, still in search of their first touchdown of the season. Head coach Marvin Lewis announced today that tight end Tyler Eifert will miss the game, so look for wide receiver A.J. Green to have a big game against the Green Bay secondary. This is the first game with new offensive coordinator Bill Lazor. Cincinnati has won their last 3 games against Green Bay, and kickoff is set for 4:25. And that's all I have for sports. Lily, back to you.
Thanks, Mitchell. That does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Lily Bradley. Have a great night.
Buddy, I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night, live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.